going through the height of Blue with all the fame at that time and all the public attention that we were getting, especially from the red tops, the Sun, the Mirror, we were always in the paper. The media were running away with their own narrative, which was not the narrative that I was living. I was completely head over heels in love with this guy, and also living a kind of double life where nobody knew about him, and it was a completely secret relationship. I was so paranoid about anybody finding out. We'd had a few people in our circle that liked to kind of, I think, manipulate us in certain ways. There was a lot of stirring of the pot. Me and Lee were like, oh, they're pissed. And at the end of the gig, it kicked off.
The most colourful band around, it's Blue!
She took me to the back of the plane where there was this little door that led you downstairs.
Did you know what was going on? Were you like, hello?
Into the crew room, where there's bunk beds. There was a lot of fun shenanigans that went on with Blue back in the day. And of course we got away with it because there was no camera phones then, which was a blessing.
Welcome to the Mile Fly Club, your VIP lane to first class travel tips, tell-all talk and turbulent life tales. Think the Mile High Club, only with more clothes, but no less revealing. Each week, I'll be inviting high-flying, globe-trotting guests to bear all in my club. So if you're searching for some tantalising travel tidbits and a good old gossip, you've arrived at the right destination. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to join me in the Mile Fly Club.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've now reached our cruising altitude. I'll go ahead and turn off the seatbelt sign, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Today's traveller shot to fame in 2001 with his band Blue. After their first single, All Rise, reached #1, and since then, he's dominated the world of show business. From pop music to the West End to Eurovision and beyond, he has done it all. But who is the man behind the music? Welcome to the Mile Fly Club, Duncan James.
Thank you.
You are officially our first member, but I have got a question to ask you. Everyone wants to know the answer to. Are you a member of the Mile High Club?
Am I a member of the Mile High Club? I am.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to know more.
Back in the day, we'll talk about that, a long time ago.
Wowzers.
On a Virgin Atlantic flight.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't wait to hear more. But before we hear more about that, let's go right back to the beginning when it all began with Blue in 2001. Well, you actually got together before that, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we were kind of put together in 2000, and then our first single was released in 2001, which just, for some reason, it seems like a whole lifetime ago. I mean, it was a lifetime ago, but wasn't that, 24 years ago? But it just seems like it's like not from this life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like the success you guys had, and obviously, like, being in a band, travel is a massive part of that. You've obviously been to some incredible places.
Do you know, it's funny because when we first started out traveling, I used to be absolutely petrified of flying, like terrified.
Did you?
Properly terrified. So my way to kind of get over my fear of flying was to become a plane geek and start learning about all the airplane, all the different types of aircraft. So the boys still take the mickey out of me.
Were you at the end of the runway before you took off with you?
I always used to sit there and watch planes. That's how geeky I was. I've always loved airplanes, but frightened of them. So to get over the fear, I wanted to learn about them, how many engines they've got and what was the type of aircraft it was. So back then we used to fly a lot of Boeing 747s, the one with a little bubble on the top.
You know your stuff.
Which were lovely. So all the boys, they didn't have a clue. They say, oh, all right then, Dunk, what's that plane? I'd be like, oh, that's a 777. Oh, that's the Dreamliner. And I'm like, how do you know? And I said, well, you just know if you look at planes.
So that's how you got over.
So I started to learn about them and kind of get into them. And that's how I got over my fear. Yeah.
Amazing. Right. So, you've travelled to some amazing destinations. Who was your favourite band member to travel with?
You can't ask me that.
I can.
Who's my favourite bandmate to travel? Probably Anthony Costa.
Right. Why?
Because Ant is very organised. He's actually really frightened of flying. He gets really petrified when there's a little bit of turbulence, which I find quite endearing. So I kind of feel like, it's all right, Ant. I'm like mother hen. Right. So I'd be like, don't worry. And he's like, oh, he's like probably jumpy out of his seat. So, so I do like flying with Ant because I like to reassure him and make sure that, he's all right. But also he's super organised.
Right.
So he's the kind of person that is packed for his holiday a week before he's actually going on holiday. Everything's laid out. He knows exactly what he's wearing each single day, Where I'm packing on the morning of the holiday, and it's just being shoved in.
Yeah.
And then when I get there, I realise, I haven't got.
You haven't got what you need.
I haven't got a belt, or I forgot my toothbrush.
So he was most organised, and who was the worst person to travel with?
Nobody, bless Lee, nobody likes to sit in a seat in front of Lee. So we now have a rule with all our travel agents that Lee is not to be booked behind us, because he's one of those people with the, when they kick in the chair and he's moving the seat. Sometimes his feet are up on the top, so you there's a lot of that going on.
Right.
So you don't want to be in a seat in front of Lee.
What's incredible is you guys have been together for 25 years.
Yeah.
And you have stayed together, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like as a band.
We're like a marriage that's never actually broken up. I mean, I can't believe I've been married to Anthony, Simon and Lee for 24 years and we've never divorced. We've not even been to marriage counselling, Laura.
Well done. I can't say that, but well done.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. We've never even, we've had 2 fights. Not fisty fights. I'm talking like just, arguments.
Yeah.
First argument that happened was when we were on our arena tour back in the day, and me and Lee decided to go and do a bit of shopping in Birmingham, and we had a gig that night in Manchester. So we did the shopping in the Bullring in Birmingham, got some bits and bobs, some Selfridges. We're in the car, we're going up the motorway, and there'd been a big crash. So the motorway had come to an absolute standstill. We're like, we need to get to Manchester because we're on stage in 2 hours. So we were like, we need to, hurry up. Nothing was moving. An hour later, we're still stuck in traffic. Helicopter was coming in. Obviously, it'd been a fatality, which was awful.
Yeah.
So we said to the driver, "You're gonna have to go on the hard shoulder because we're gonna miss the gig." The boys, Anthony and Si, were really upset. They were just really annoyed, understandably so. So anyway, we got on the hard shoulder and we bolted it, and we just managed to get there probably about half an hour late. So we kept the audience waiting half an hour, which is really bad.
Well, nobody's...
And then we kind of literally ran on stage, and Simon and Anthony were really unhappy with us.
So you had to perform that gig.
Yeah, before we could just tell. Me and Lee were like, "Oh, they're pissed. They're not happy at all." And at the end of the gig, it kicked off. That was like a big argument, and it was like blaming us because we went shopping, and we were like, "Well, it's not our fault that there was an accident. We didn't know that was going to happen."
And did you think, like, at any point, like, I mean, obviously there weren't that many arguments, but at any point you ever thought, okay, there's a danger here that we're going to split, the band's not going to last? Were there any points like that?
There was one moment, which was the second argument that happened a few years ago, actually, and we'd had a few people in our circle that like to kind of, I think, manipulate us in certain ways. There was a lot of stirring of the pot, where somebody would sometimes go to one of the boys and say one thing, and then go to another boy and said, "Well, they said that."
So
there was a little bit of that, and so I think that was going on at one point. So that's all finished now. That resolved in us having to move away from certain people that we were with. And actually now the team that we've got for the last year and a half has been the best team we've ever had in the whole 24 years of Blue. And it's just, it feels like a really happy place to go to work. There's no kind of like weird stuff that goes on. There's no manipulation-y stuff. There's no weird stuff. And, me and the boys, we are quite, we're just normal lads, really. We're not very organised, apart from Anthony. We need somebody to be able to tell us what to do, where we're going, reminding on a constant basis. So, we need to be mothered quite a lot. I
mean, look, I know all of you, bar Simon.
Yeah.
I've obviously known you. We've been cruising together.
We have.
We have indeed.
Yes.
We've been cruising together, and obviously I know Lee because I used to sing with Lee back in the day, and Anthony I know as well, and obviously I've seen you on tour, and I think your friendship is amazing, but you've obviously got each other's backs.
Yeah.
And but then there must have been things that have gone on. So come on, there was this. You mentioned something, or Lee mentioned something, or you mentioned something about the threesome.
Oh gosh, that was...
I'd just like to say the threesome wasn't with me, but is it true? Like what?
Well, back in the day when we were like in our 20s and very young kids, obviously we were at the height of fame. We had a lot of success very early on, and there was a lot of partying going on back then. There was a lot. We were flying in different countries.
Hotel rooms getting wrecked.
A lot of hotel rooms getting wrecked. There was a lot of fun shenanigans that went on with Blue back in the day. And of course we got away with it because there was no camera phones then, which was a blessing because we would have been cancelled years ago. But but there was a lot of fun. There was obviously a lot of girls around, and I was straight back then, so I thought. So, you know, there was a lot of girls, there was a lot of just temptation, and mix that with alcohol and fame and on the road of being looked after. There was some incidents. There were some incidents that had happened where we'd all end up potentially in the same kind of room together, and things would happen. So back in the day, there was some shenanigans that happened. But I think most people in their 20s, when you're experimenting and you're having fun before you've really found yourself, you get up to all sorts, don't you? And
going back on that, you sort of say inverted commas, thought you were straight. At what point did you always kind of know, actually, I am gay, or like what? When did you start to figure that all out?
So I was brought up in a very strict Catholic family. So I was an altar boy at church when I was at school. So I would have to serve the mass every Sunday because my grandfather, he was a very strict Catholic, so was my grandma, and he played the organ at the church. He played the keyboard. So I was the altar boy. Grandpa was at the organ. It was very much a family affair thing, and every single Sunday I had to go to church. So I think growing up in such a kind of strict way, I had a lot of that Catholic guilt. Couldn't allow myself to think about anything to do with sex or anything like that, because you'd go straight to hell if you have those thoughts. So it was just best to not even think about it. And I think growing up in that kind of way, I was always really kind of frightened to even open up that kind of door to anything sexual. I mean, I didn't lose my virginity until I was quite old. I was older. I was 18, 19. So I was older to a lot of my friends. But that was more out of fear of doing something wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So again, it comes back down to that Catholic guilt. So I think that went through working with my sexuality, with not really wanting to address the fact that I was probably gay, and it was probably just best to keep that door shut and not open it. And actually, as I've got older and I've spoken to a lot of gay people, they've gone through, it's a generational thing, I think. They've gone through very similar things where it's much easier to suppress that and to close the door on it, to not even open it up. And there's been a lot of guys I've met who I've talked to who are, much the older generation, and they didn't come out until they were like 60, 70 years old. And they've spent their whole life being completely closeted and afraid.
It makes me so sad.
It makes me sad. But I mean, I guess I was probably in the last of that generation where now it's a lot more accepting. Kids are coming out the womb gay, do you know what I mean? And it's like a lot more accepting these days.
Yeah. And the boys in the band, like, at what point did you tell them, like, you were travelling around, or like, how did you break that?
So I was really frightened to tell the guys, because I thought, are they going to accept me? Are they going to want to still be my friend? I had all these question marks in my head. And the first person I told was Simon.
Right.
Yeah. And I told Simon because I was in Los Angeles at the time, and I had gone through a breakup with a secret undercover boyfriend that I'd had, who was actually one of Blue's dancers.
Right.
And I was completely head over heels in love with this guy, and also living a kind of double life where nobody knew about him, and it was a completely secret relationship. And I was so paranoid about anybody finding out. So it was just best to keep it all quiet. And it got to the point where we'd broken up, and I was just devastated, and I was needed to talk to somebody. And I remember raiding my minibar in my hotel room in LA, literally raiding the minibar to get enough courage to be able to ring up Simon. And I thought, I'm going to tell Simon because I know he's the most tight-lipped of the group. Yeah. And no matter if I tell him something, I know he's not going to say anything. And I rang him up. And I told him, and he was incredible. Yeah. He was like what you want a best friend to say.
Yeah.
He was so incredible. And my mum was with me in LA. I remember him saying, he goes, please do me a favor, go and talk to your mum, because it's your mum, and she's there with you. I don't want you to be going through this on your own. Go and speak to your mum. Go and knock on the door on our room and talk to her. It was like 1 a.m. So I said, all right then. So I knocked on my mum's room, and she answered the door.
This is in a hotel in LA?
In a hotel in LA. She opened the door. She was fast asleep. She was like, I've been crying, floods of tears, eyes were red. She was like, what's wrong? I said, Mum, I need to talk to you. For me, it was like a huge thing, Yeah. And I said, sit down. And I said, Mum, I need you to know that I think I'm gay or bisexual and I'm really confused with my sexuality. And she went, oh, I thought you were going to tell me you had cancer. She gave me the biggest hug.
Of course, like, you know, you're like, fun, but my word, she thought you had...
She thought I was going to tell her something like really serious.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a really serious thing, you know? But I think you magnify it in your own head because it's when it's become like a secret for so many years and you're so frightened to come out, it becomes that...
A bigger deal.
It becomes a bigger thing than it really is. So when I come out, I was like, oh, no one's bothered. No one gives a damn, you know? It was...
But do you look back on that time and think that was like one of your most turbulent times?
Yeah, I think for me, going through the height of Blue with all the fame at that time and all the public attention that we were getting, especially from the red tops, you know, the Sun, the Mirror, we were always in the paper, always linked to girls, Jerry Halliwell, Martine McCutcheon. I was linked to all of these, Tara, bless God rest her soul, Palmer Tomkinson. And so you kind of, the media were running away with their own narrative, which was not the narrative that I was living. So you kind of get caught up in this very mixed two-way world.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's very hard to then find the reality in it. So I was in Harley Street seeing psychiatrists. I was on a medicine called Seroxat to try to help my anxiety with it all because it was all a lot. And I didn't really have a lot of people to talk to. But when I came out, Simon and my mum, honestly, I felt that was great.
So much better.
So much better. And then a few years later, I did the story for the News of the World and came out. And it was one of the most scariest but most liberating things I've ever done.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, everyone loves you. I mean, look at the career that you've like had going on since then and that you're having now.
I know. We're still blessed to be working. I mean, I've just got off doing a massive Italian summer tour.
Yes.
In front of thousands touring around Italy, where it's just like what it was back in the day.
Amazing. So, favorite country? Do you think you've? Is that a difficult question to answer?
Favorite country? It's difficult because I like countries that I like to escape to run away where I'm not known and have a holiday without getting bothered or anything. And I like countries that I like going to for work that I really enjoy with the boys where we love. So Italy has always been probably the biggest country that supported Blue outside the UK.
Has it?
Yeah, we had a #1 hit there for 16 weeks, which we sang a song in Italian.
And what was that?
It's called A Chi mi dice.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like every
What would that have been in? What does that?
Breathe Easy in England.
Okay,
in English.
okay.
It's
Right.
Breathe Easy in English is translated to A Chi mi dice in Italian.
16 weeks at #1.
#1, it was a long time. So like it's become like one of the countries like anthems. Like every single like Italian person, you say A Chi mi dice, they're like, oh yes, we love A Chi mi dice, and they know it and they all sing the words to it. So it's like a
So
huge
Italy's
song.
got a kind of special place.
So Italy's a very, and also
Yeah.
it is such a beautiful country.
Yeah.
I mean, it is stunning. We just got back from Sicily, which I love as well. Sicily, the food is just, I'm a real foodie.
Yeah.
So the fish, the seafood, the meat, it was just literally in heaven, and the pasta, of course. So, yeah.
And what about like travel from an LGBTQ plus point of view? Like when you pick a destination to go to, is that kind of on your mind where you think, right, well, I want to make sure that it's a place that's going to be
Yeah.
like, because there are destinations that I've travelled to that I'm like, okay, you know, there's quite a big culture of that people there, or what does that kind of come into?
Yeah, I think you've got to be really careful still on it, which is really sad because I mean, there's certain countries you go to where you can't be seen to be gay at all. I remember going to a water park in Dubai with my ex-boyfriend at the time, and we'd gone down the slide together, and it was like one of those really drop fast ones.
Yeah.
And I remember getting out of the water, and he was
Did
there,
your
and
underwear stay
I
on?
cuddled. I was like, if I was fighting, I was like, oh my god, that was so nice. And I cuddled him. And we were hugged, we embraced, and security came over and said, no, like really angry. And like, you can't show that here, you get thrown out if you do that again. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? So that was kind of a bit scary.
Did that put you off? Has that put you off going back to Dubai?
I still love Dubai, but it just made me realise that's their rules, their country. You know, you have to respect their wishes in a way. So even if I don't agree with it personally, but it is their country and their rules. So you have to kind of just, you know, respect it.
Yeah. And your partner now, you've got a partner.
Rodrigo, yeah. So we're going on holiday to Mykonos this year. Mykonos is like the gay Greek island, isn't it? So
I've never been.
It's so fun.
So you've been a number of times?
Love Mykonos. It's so expensive though now. I mean, it's ridiculously expensive, but it is beautiful. You know, everything's all those like white villas.
Yeah, blue and white.
Blue and white. And it's just a really lovely place. They've got a really fun kind of gay bar outdoor by the beach called Jackie O's, which is just fabulous. They have like a resident drag queen who hosts, and you know, you got all the boys, a big pool, all the boys in their little sungas. What do we call them here? We call them what are they called? Those little speedos.
Oh, okay, right.
Think of it. I'm in Brazilian mode. Sungas is the Brazilian name,
right?
Because obviously being with the Brazilian for 6 years.
Where did you meet?
Belgium.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Why?
We did a gig in Belgium, and we got off stage and we went to the hotel where we were staying, in the hotel bar, and he was in the hotel randomly with his friends having a drink before he was going out for dinner, and I'd got off stage. Me and the boys balled in. Right, you know, we're quite loud, and obviously he was looking at what's going on, and we ordered some drinks, and I saw him at the bar, and I was like, oh, he's really cute, and I said, do you want a drink? And he's like, okay. So I bought him a gin and tonic. And he came over and said, thank you. And then we started chatting, and he didn't have a clue who I was or anything like that, which was really nice. And we just started chatting a lot and talking. And yeah, that's how we met.
6 years.
It's been 6 years.
Amazing.
Oh, it's mad.
So what does the kind of future hold for the two of you? Is there kind of, do you think you'll get married? Any like?
Oh, we've had an argument this morning, and I've turned my phone off. So that's where we are this morning. Yeah, we had an argument.
So a turbulent morning then.
Turbulent morning, yeah.
The journey wasn't plain sailing.
It wasn't. There was a lot of texting, but we'll be fine later.
We now interrupt your flight for a word from our advertisers.
Brunel Logistics, connecting your business to the world. Whether it's by land, sea or air, Brunel Logistics' global presence will simplify all your transportation needs. With over 40 years' experience, we do whatever it takes to ensure your business with a fast, reliable and secure transport supply chain. For more information, visit us at www.brunellogistics.com.
So do you have any celebrity crushes?
Do I have a celebrity crush? I've always had a little soft spot for Will Smith, actually. I thought he's always... Yeah, I used to love Will Smith growing up as a kid.
He's quite feisty, though,
He's been a bit feisty recently, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But from growing up watching him from Fresh Prince and everything, and seeing all his films like I, Robot, which he was super hot in, and he just, in interviews I've seen him in the past...
Charming.
Very, very charming.
Yeah, so you'd like
Something
to join
very
the
cute,
Mile High Club with him, would you?
Well, my boyfriend
Oh,
is
yeah?
watching this, so no. I only have eyes for my boyfriend, of course. No. We haven't actually ever done the Mile High Club. Rodrigo, if you're watching.
Yeah, there you go. If you're watching.
That's a bucket list tick.
On your way to Mykonos.
Probably get caught and be cancelled and end up in the papers. But
For travel, what does it mean to you?
I love travelling. Like, I think because I've lived pretty much in a suitcase for the last 24 years. Well, not lived in a suitcase, but lived out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
I'm just used to always traveling. So I a lot of travel hacks I've got quite clued up with.
Oh, can you share?
Always collect your points, whether your Avios or your hotel points, because they come in super handy.
Yep.
And you never know when you're gonna, need them. And obviously you get certain perks for collecting like your Abios and your Hilton hotels or whatever, because you can get free night stays, and it all really helps.
So even you, in your position, you kind of like to, you're savvy.
Oh,
you're savvy
I'm really
with
savvy.
travel.
Yeah, I was devastated. I was gold member at BA for like 3 years in a row. And then last year we didn't fly enough, so I went back down to silver, which was devastating. So I've made it my mission this year, and I'm literally about to go gold next week, my next flight. So at least I've got that for another year. And I know that sounds like really like arrogant, but honestly, it means that it takes away so much stress when you get to the airport.
You can go
so
to
at Heathrow, if you're a gold member, they've got their own separate wing, which you go through, so you don't have to go through the whole security with everybody. You go through your own private little entrance, which is just so nice. And then it takes you straight into the lounge, so you just sit in a nice lounge.
Do you find that's like a massive perk for you as well, because obviously you are who you are and you're traveling through airports? Do you constantly get recognised, people coming up to you? Because for me, being at an airport is probably one of the most places that I get recognised, like on a plane.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, people now have camera phones, but there's a lot of international people flying. We're quite an international band, so people know us, not just the Brits, but obviously Italians and stuff like that. So it can get a little bit like when you're at the airport, you just want to just, get on that plane, don't you? And a lot of the time, you're tired if it's an early morning flight. So for me, the lounges are really, really helpful and really useful. And it's just a place to chill, isn't it, before you get on a flight?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going on a long haul or whatever, you just grab a little bit to eat. And I sometimes eat in the lounge and I get on the plane and just sleep.
Yeah.
Because that's great. But I mean, for me, airports, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with, because I don't know if you've noticed nowadays, well, obviously you would have noticed, but there's more and more delays, it seems like. There's more and more problems with flights. There's more people camping outside the airports because they've, missed their flight, or their flights were cancelled or whatever. So airports are becoming more and more and more just masses of people and more stressful places to be in.
I think different times of year for me, like it kind of varies massively. Obviously, like summer months,
school holidays.
Yes, it's crazy, busy, but and obviously we had like an IT kind of phase.
I was stuck in that.
Were you?
I was stuck in the IT, the Microsoft.
What do you do when
crash.
you're stuck on a plane and you're delayed? Like,
Well, we had a nightmare because we were in Catania, and thankfully my flight was
where's
in the evening.
Catania?
Catania in Sicily.
Oh, okay.
So luckily my flight was in the evening, and this computer crash happened in the morning. So the boys had early morning flights, and I'd booked a flight to come home that night, which was great. So I literally spent the whole day by the pool, and I could see that my flight was delayed. So I just thought, well, I'm not going to rush to the airport and be there on time, because the flight hasn't even taken off from London yet to come to collect me. So I was monitoring it on Flight Radar.
Another good travel hack.
Another good travel hack. So I could see where the plane was, how far away it was before it was landed, before I went to the airport. And then I got to the airport, and we were delayed even more because of something to do with air traffic control issues. Got on the plane. We missed the slot. Had to wait 50 minutes for
so frustrating when
the slot to come back up. And eventually, when we got on the way and we landed at Gatwick, there had been, we'd landed at night time, and there'd been a lot of planes landing at the same time because a lot of them were delayed. So it was at midnight. Loads of planes came in at once, not enough baggage handlers. And it was midnight, so all the baggage handlers had clocked out. So they were going home because they're like, well, I'm not getting paid any extra. I'm going home. It's my shift finished. So there was probably about 2,500 people in Gatwick waiting for their bags. And I think I waited 2 hours
for
my bags to come after being delayed. Yeah, we were just sat there waiting for the bags to come. And it was funny because every conveyor belt, when the bags came, everybody was cheering because they were really pleased their bags came. So,
but despite of the delays, despite of hanging around for luggage, you still love travel.
I do love travel, even though it can do your head right in. Do you know what I mean? It can do your head in, especially when you're caught on a delay or whatever.
Do you turn right?
I like to turn left.
I bet you do.
If it's short haul, I can do it right, but long haul nowadays, I've got a bad back, Laura, and I need a comfortable bed. I've had discs removed, so.
Have you?
Yeah, it's very difficult sitting up for me and for all those hours when you've had discs removed out your back.
I mean, when you have kind of done it once, it is nice, isn't it, to turn left? But it is a massive pressure. But if you can be savvy with your points, collecting your Avios, actually, you can often do the buy one get one free, can't you?
And also you can upgrade yourself. Yeah, which is great, and you can use your Avios to upgrade. But what I was saying is, you're sitting there and it's all waiting to go, and then you get that dreaded announcement by the captain who says there's a technical problem with the plane, and you're like, but we are getting it fixed, and you just think, oh no. And that for me sends me off, because it's like my head will start spiraling. Well, what technical problem? What's happened? And I'll go straight up to the cabin crew, and I'll want to know all the information. So I'll talk to them, and I say, oh, what's happened? And they'll be like, oh, it's whatever's happened on the wheel, or there's been a light that's come up on the dashboard. They have to check.
You want to know what's going on? Of course, you do with your plane spotting book.
With my plane spotting book. I want to know
what flight.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on any flights and there's been like, a bit of drama, anything going on that?
I remember me and the boys were on a Cathay Pacific flight from Hong Kong to London, and we were delayed for hours in Hong Kong because of really bad weather. And we actually had to have a plane swap last minute. So we were due to fly back on a Boeing, and we got swapped last minute to an Airbus. Now, we took off from Hong Kong airport, and normally the plane, obviously, it starts climbing till it gets to its cruising destination. cruising altitude, sorry. So we took off, we got to about 8,000 feet and then the plane leveled off. And I'm thinking, this isn't normal. We should be climbing. What's going on? And I looked out the window and we were in thick black cloud. Like we were in a storm cloud and the plane was, doing the whole thing. And I just remember looking out the window and seeing lightning bolts hitting the wing and electric blue going all the way up the wing. And I was like, close that window. Anthony was over there literally, having a heart attack, bless him. So I was like, okay, this is really scary. We're not climbing. What's going on? And about 5 minutes later, we actually started to climb again. And the captain came on and said, we're really sorry about that, but we were caught in a thunderstorm, as you might have seen. And we were told to hold a certain flight because there was lots of planes around. So we were just told to hold at that height.
Quite scary.
And he said, but the good news is we don't have to return back to the airport because we swapped this plane out and you're now in an Airbus and not a Boeing. And if you were in a Boeing with the lightning that was striked,
I would have been back down.
You would have had to return back around.
And you were like, yeah, well, I know that because I know my planes.
So I know. Because Boeing is all cabled and Airbuses are all mini computers. So if it gets struck by lightning,
you really do know your stuff
shuts off and reboots. Yeah. So, but Boeing is all cabled. So lightning goes along the cables and it shorts something out. So that's why we were able to carry on flying back to London.
I want to talk a little bit more about your career actually, because you have had. I mean, you're not just a pop star. You've performed in the West End.
Yeah.
You've done Eurovision.
I've done Eurovision.
Where was Eurovision? Which
Dusseldorf, 2011.
You're on Gogglebox. Yeah. TV presenter, radio presenter. Do you have a favourite? Like, what's your favourite thing to do, or do you just love it all?
I'm very lucky. I like to have a little dabble at everything. I've been very blessed that I've had the opportunity to do lots of stuff. But I've got to say, I do love musical theatre. I started off.
Rocky
Horror was the show I did. I played Frankenfurter.
Well?
No, I didn't do Grease. I did Legally Blonde. The original cast.
Elwood.
Hence my Elwood's reference to you when I saw you.
Yeah.
Give me Elwood's today. I got to play Warner, which was Elle's boyfriend that dumps her to go to Harvard. And Sheridan Smith was my Elwood's.
Oh, amazing.
I've done Chicago the musical many, many times in the West End, which was incredible, getting to play Billy Flynn. And I got to play my first ever drag role in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Did you? I love
so fun.
That show's great.
I got to I loved it because I love a bit of drag. I love RuPaul's Drag Race. I love anything to do with the whole kind of artistry of drag. So to get to play such an iconic part in such an iconic musical from an iconic film was like a dream come true for me. And it was just incredible.
Who's your favourite drag queen then?
Who is my favourite drag queen? This is such a difficult question for me because I love so many drag queens, but I think from the Brits, I've got a very special place for Cheryl Hole because she's a very good friend of mine, and I love the Vivian, and I love Bag of Chips.
Oh, okay.
I love those queens, and Kitty Scott Claus. I love those.
We need to get them on. We need to find out if they're part of the.
They would. Listen, the drag queen. Of course, there's a drag queen on a Mile High Club.
Is there?
I'm sure.
Oh, you need to.
I'll do some investigating for you.
Definitely.
But American drag queens. Alyssa Edwards is up there. Bianca Del Rio, love her. A bit more of the old school ones. You're probably thinking, who are you talking about? But modern day ones.
But do you know what I love is, like, obviously you have had, like, you went through that turbulence of being able to come out and tell Simon and your mum and whatever, and now you really feel at ease and comfortable with who you are, and not giving a crap what anyone else thinks, not worrying what anyone else. I'm
still waiting for RuPaul to ring me up and ask me to be a judge on the show, but the phone call never comes.
You heard it here first.
Rude.
You never know.
Sort it out, Ru.
You are incredible. You've gone through it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to anybody that was kind of struggling right now? Or
I think there's still a lot of stigma attached to coming out. It's still not easy, even though it's a lot better now than it was back in the day. It's a lot more accepting, I guess. But religion plays a really big part. People's family, they're scared of what the reaction is going to be from family members. And it's really difficult. And, we don't choose to be this way. You are born, I believe you are born that way. And obviously we make choices along the way, but I think that it's really important to have somebody that you can talk to. Don't suffer in silence. That is the number one thing I would say. Try to find, somebody that you can talk to, because so much mental health problems are out there nowadays. So many people are bottling things up and they don't have an outlet. They don't find that they can talk to somebody. And I've heard some horror stories of people taking their lives because they were frightened to ever tell somebody. And I think that is such a travesty. That's so sad. It's really important to be able to talk to people and to just offload. There's so many helplines out there. If you don't want to speak to a family member or a friend, there's so many discreet helplines that you can ring, that you can talk to people. So it's talking, getting it out is half the battle, I think.
Yeah.
It really does help. Finding that special person that you can confide in and trust, which is really important.
Oh, great advice. And I'm sure it will help a lot of people.
Hope so.
I want to talk a little bit about your daughter, Tierney.
Tierney, yes.
I've seen Tierney, she's an incredible ballet dancer.
I know.
You must be
I'm so
proud.
Proud daddy. I mean, we're proud of our kids, aren't we? But I mean, the fact that she's gone through literally a whole life at the Royal Ballet School, and she's just progressed from White Lodge to upper school, and now she's 19, starting her life.
Just before you talk a bit more about her, you actually told your mum, didn't you, that you were gay, and then you went on and had your daughter. So how did that?
So I came out to my mum, and I remember my mum, when she processed it all, she said, "Does that mean I'm not going to have grandchildren?" And literally a few weeks after that, I'd found out that Claire, Tierney's mummy, who was an ex-girlfriend of mine, she'd got pregnant, and I remember thinking at the time, this is so bizarre. I just told my mum I might be gay, and now I'm going to tell my mum I'm actually going to have a child. So bless my mum, my head must have been all over the place. But I guess it shows that my head was all over the place back then as well. I really didn't know. I hadn't really found myself. I didn't know if I was gay, straight, bi, what I was really. But I'm very blessed that I had a beautiful, healthy daughter who I absolutely adore, and me and her mum. We are just so proud of her because she's just done incredible things with her ballet. She's such a talented ballerina.
Do you ever go on holiday with the boys outside of touring with the boys?
We've got a gig coming up actually next month in Bali, which is amazing.
Nice.
So we've all decided. So we stay for a couple of extra days. We go a couple of days before. So we're going to have a couple of days.
Have you been to Bali before?
Love Bali.
I've never done it.
We actually got stuck in Bali in the beginning of lockdown. So lockdown happened first of all in obviously China, and it spread through to Asia very quickly.
Yeah.
We were touring around that part of the world, and we were in Bali, and we had a gig to, I think it was Indonesia, but the flights were cancelled because that country went into lockdown. So we were then stuck in Bali.
Oh my word.
Because we couldn't get flights home, because all the flights were grounded because
So how long
COVID.
was that there for?
We had 2 weeks.
Did you?
Yeah, we had 2 weeks in Bali on a beach whilst the rest of the world was going into lockdown, and we were having a fabulous time in Bali. We didn't know the severity of it at the time, and then of course we got back into London, and everything went straight into lockdown.
Crazy times.
Yeah.
So come on, I need to then know a bit about the Mile High Club, when that happened, the Virgin flight.
So that was back in the day.
Are we talking full blown, went to the top?
No,
what happened?
no,
Did you
no.
fly first class? What?
No, so it was, I shouldn't really say this.
Yeah, you can. Come on, dish the dirt.
They don't work there for Virgin anymore, but there was a girl who was on the Virgin Atlantic flight.
She was cabin crew.
She was cabin crew. And we'd gone out to LA and we had partied with all the cabin crew, and she was on another flight, and she was quite naughty, I think. Anyway, she said to me, "Oh, I have to show you the crew restroom," and it was in the days when you were allowed to go in, before 9/11, post 9/11.
Yeah.
So it was pre 9/11. So she took me to the back of the plane where there was a little door that led you downstairs.
Did you know what was going on? Were you
Into
like,
the
hello?
crew room, and there was a crew room where there's bunk beds. So we had a little play in the crew, because you could get into the little bunk bed and close the curtain.
Wow.
So me and her got in there and had a little it wasn't full on, you know, but
You still joined it.
I still joined it.
You had a little dabble.
Had a little bit of fun. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of like, I'm in the Mile High Club.
You are in the Mile High Club. You're also in the Mile Fly Club.
Mile Fly Club, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, Duncan.
And I'm the virgin, the first one.
You are the virgin.
I popped the virgin cherry for the Mile Fly Club.
You have popped the virgin cherry. Join the Mile High Club on the way to Mykonos.
Yeah, I'll make a little video and send it to you.
Fab. Thank you so much. It's been amazing having you as our first guest. You were my virgin.
I'd like to be a virgin again. It's been lovely to be reborn. And I've popped your virgin cherry as well.
You have indeed. Safe travel.
Thank you.
Hey, Mile Fly Club, thanks so much for travelling with me on this episode. For more content like this, please click the subscribe button. And for the full podcast interview, check out the Mile Fly Club on all major audio streaming platforms. See you next week.